This week on the RV Podcast.
Those horrific storms and tornadoes keep coming, this time over the weekend, hitting campgrounds crowded with Memorial Day RVers.
We'll talk about what to do when severe weather warnings are forecast for the area where you're camping.
There's continuing fallout and a lot of confusion over new rules by the CDC about bringing your dog back from Canada or Mexico. And the CDC won't comment on our attempts to get clarification.
All this plus the RV news of the week, your questions, and our RV story of the week coming up on episode 499 of the RV Podcast.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Wendland, and this is my lifelong traveling companion and my bride, Jennifer. Hello, my dear.
Hello, my Michael.
Just a quick reminder that you can watch a video version of the RV Lifestyle RV podcast on our YouTube channel. That's all up there. You can watch all of them, as a matter of fact, both an audio and a visual version.
And if you prefer an audio-only podcast, you can hear us through your favorite podcast app or listen now through the player below.
Well, we're just back from a great trip to Arizona. Man, it was a whirlwind trip last week where we got a chance to take a look at a brand new desert development that will be opening in the next few days, aimed strictly at RVers. And we'll have a full video on this new property we looked at, as well as a visit to the awesome things to do nearby from the Colorado River and the Grand Canyon to Las Vegas. And they can look for that video, all of you, on Saturday on our RV Lifestyle YouTube channel. We'll also show you just how awesome it is out there. I'll show you how a lot of different RVers are living off the grid in the desert with all of the comforts of home.
And the big news is our latest travel guide. It's out, Exploring the Bourbon Trail.
This is an 82-page ebook, and it's available today as this episode is being released on May 29th. And this Exploring the Bourbon Trail ebook will lead you on an epic road trip through the heart of Kentucky's bourbon country. Now, the Bourbon Trail is home to some of the most renowned distilleries in the world, and each one has kind of a unique story and a flavor profile. And our travel guide is going to feature in-depth looks at all the top distilleries. We did what?
Including Maker's Mark, Jim Beam, Buffalo Terrace.
Yeah, we did Four Roses as well, and
a
bunch more. We tell you about the histories, the distillation processes, and what makes each bourbon distinct. But also a lot of inside tips on the best times to visit.
And you don't have to drink alcohol to enjoy this trip. Kentucky is a state of stunning natural beauty, and our guides ensure you won't miss any of it. We've added a selection of scenic routes that showcase the best of Kentucky's landscapes, from rolling hills and lush forests to charming small towns and historic landmarks.
And along the way, we're going to tell you about a bunch of hidden gems that only the locals know. We'll show you some of the different shops and restaurants, historic sites, lots of breathtaking viewpoints along the routes that we suggest. We think it's a cool book, and it's available right now, and we can't wait to hear your feedback from it. Hey, the fallback and the confusion following our story last week about the CDC's new rules, man, it's loud. There are a lot of people like us who are very confused by a sudden new rule by the CDC that'll take effect August 1st and affects tourists and travelers returning to the U.S. from Canada and Mexico.
Now, we've been trying since last week to get clarification from the CDC on this, and they basically said they're too busy to answer our questions. But in the week since we reported on those new rules have frustrated and angered both RVers and veterinarians who have to fill in forms for their dog patients.
Dogs coming back have to be microchipped, and they must have proof of a rabies vaccine after the chip was installed. And that's a lot of confusion for a lot of people because, for example, we've never microchipped our dog. we will. But our dog just got a 3 years rabies vaccine. And because we got that before he will have been microchipped, that's not good enough. The rules, as we read them, say that we got to get him vaccinated again, which is not a good idea, not when he was just vaccinated a couple of months ago. So a lot of other people and a lot of vets are wondering about it. Then there's another rule about coming back.
Yeah, a crazy rule. Plus, 1 or 2 days before coming back to the U.S., travelers need to upload a photo of your dog and fill in a form on what port of entry you're going to be using.
Now, it's insane, and we'll find out more. And we're going to stay on top of this, and we'll try again to keep reaching the CDC and see if we can get some clarification. We got a lot of pushback from people who just kind of thought, well, this is a wonderful thing. Obviously, they don't have dogs, you know. In fact, somebody left us a really nasty review.
Ooh.
If you like our podcast, I need to get some good reviews to get rid of that nasty review because they thought we were being anti-government and I don't know, people are crazy. This just doesn't make a lot of sense. And we understand why you want to have an idea of what dogs come in and whether they're healthy or not. But most of the dogs that people are bringing in that they take on vacation with them to Canada or Mexico and then bring back are not going to be the problem. But anyway, you can imagine the craziness out there. So we will stay on this story. We'll let you know more if there's any more clarity from the CDC. So stay tuned. We love to get your email and your comments. You can reach us at mikeandjen@rvlifestyle.com. All right, when we come back, the social media buzz. Stay with us. After countless nights on the road, we have finally found the ultimate comfort solution for our home away from home. Our RV mattress from rvmattress.com/rvlifestyle. Now let me tell you, this is a game changer. Everybody knows that the stock mattresses that come in an RV are not great. And whether you are a weekend warrior or a full-timer, you deserve better sleep. RVmattress.com has 22 plus size options, 5 height options, and 3 firmness options, so you are bound to find something that fits. Jennifer and I got the signature hybrid mattress in Queen with the cooling cover, and we love it. It truly has us sleeping just as good in the RV as our house. In fact, so good, we actually got another RV mattress for our Sticks and Bricks house. Now, swapping out the uncomfortable old stock mattress for our new RV mattress was easy. It shipped from Arizona for free in a box. We brought it into the RV and never looked back. This RV mattress is plush comfort, the best sleep we've ever had in an RV. Every night feels like a luxury retreat, and we highly recommend upgrading your mattress at rvmattress.com. Trust us, you will not regret it. And if you use the promo code RVLifestyle, you'll get a really nice discount. Again, go to rvmattress.com/rvlifestyle. All right, welcome back, everybody. Time for social media buzz.
And I know I look forward to this part, and I think a lot of you out there also look forward to it because Wendy sorts through what everybody's talking about and always gives us some helpful tips.
Here is Wendy Boyer with this week's social media buzz.
Hi, everybody. Over in our RV lifestyle community, Weather for RVer space, we had a recent post from Carrie. Carrie wrote she is a California kid and she's planning her first cross-country trip in her camper van Class B. And she must have been listening to all these weather reports about tornadoes because she asked, besides checking weather reports, if you're out there camping and you come across a tornado, what do you do? Well, this sparked some good conversation. Bob and Roxy, they said, of course, the best thing to do is to be checking those weather reports and try to keep yourself out of a situation you can't get out of. But they said always know where the safe places are. And they suggested fire stations, police stations, even rest stops outside of the freeways. They often have tornado stops in certain states, and they suggested checking all those things out. And then Brenda and Mark, they said it's good to know the area around you. Where's the shelter in the campground, for instance? And they also said don't be afraid to change plans. If something's coming and you can avoid it, avoid it. And also in our community, in the general discussion space, we had another post I'd like to tell you about. This one from Bernie and Erica. And they said they know you're supposed to have a little room in your RV refrigerator, not pack it too tight, but what about the RV freezer? Do you have to leave room there too? Well, this sparked another great discussion, and Richard said, yes, you need to leave space in that RV freezer so that way the air can circulate, and if it's packed too tight, that can't happen. And it sounds like Richard might have found that out the hard way. But David, he wrote that that is true about not packing too tight for the traditional three-way gas evaporation refrigerators, but some of the newer electric RV refrigerators don't operate this way. They have a totally different system, and you can pack them completely to the gills. Well, it sounds like that's what he does. So perhaps the best advice to this one is to check your manual, know what type of RV refrigerator you have, and then go from there. And then I'd also like to tell you about a post in our RV Lifestyle Facebook group that really got people talking. And this was about that camping favorite, the s'more. Don, he wrote that, well, first he took a picture. He showed this picture of his own s'more creation. And he said that this is the only way they do s'mores now, and his waistline hasn't been the same since. So this creation looked like 2 Keebler fudge striped cookies with this perfectly gooey roasted marshmallow sandwiched between them. And this just got people talking like you wouldn't believe. We're talking hundreds of comments, thousands of shares, something like 700,000 views. And what it did was people really started sharing their own s'more inventions. And there were so many, some common threads where many people seem to replace those graham cracker crusts with Oreo cookies. Others, they didn't use Hershey bars. Instead, they put Nutella as the chocolate in their s'more sandwich. Other people, they said to replace the Keebler striped cookies with chocolate chip cookies, which sounded pretty good. And some people, instead of marshmallows, they use Peeps, those little Easter marshmallow gooey chicken things. And anyway, there were so many good ideas here. It was fun to read. Many, of course, loved Don's tip. They thanked him for sharing it and said they're going to make it on their next camping trip. But it got me wondering, do you have a s'more alternative that you make each week? If so, I would love to hear what it is. But that's it for me this week. I'm Wendy Boyer, and I will see you over in the RV Lifestyle community or Facebook group.
All right. Thank you very much, Wendy. Always fun to see what everybody's talking about. And they do talk on social media.
They sure do. And I can see why somebody just starting out with their RV traveling a little scared right now after what the weather has been like on where it's safe to be and where you go. And everybody was so helpful with that one. And I also learned that I know in a refrigerator, you're not supposed to pack it all the way to the back. But it was a good reminder about the freezer, too. And then it always gets confusing because then the new refrigerators, you can pack.
Yeah.
So, you got to stay up to date. Things change.
It does. All right. We are going to talk about the weather, and we're going to talk a lot about these horrible tornadoes. And what do you do if suddenly you're in an area camping where there's a tornado watch or warning? Stay with us. We'll talk about that coming up.
We just heard about a land offering out west for RVers in Arizona. They're selling 5-acre RV ranches starting at only $49,900. The company offering it is affiliated with the people Jennifer and I bought our Tennessee property from. They do a great job. It looks amazing. It is at high elevation, so you get cooler temperatures, big mountain views, juniper trees, and green grasses. And it is near everything: the Grand Canyon, Lake Havasu, Kingman, Flagstaff, and Sedona. It's a perfect place to have a home base to explore the West, and it is right off famous Route 66. It's called Greenwood Ranches, and this is the second and final section of the community. We met the sales manager, really nice guy. He bought a property for his RV, and he's building a container home on it. Check out their website for a video tour and showing availability. It's pretty incredible. Visit the website to get details and set up a showing, ArizonaRVland.net. That's ArizonaRVland.net.
All right. We got a chance to see Greenwood Ranches last week in Arizona and this brand new development out there that's opening up. And we'll again remind you, be sure and come to the RV Lifestyle YouTube channel on Saturday and we'll have a really nice video on our trip to Arizona. So many fun things to do out there. And you'll see these properties and why so many RVers are really enjoying camping in the desert. All right, our conversation of the week is about tornadoes, and we want to talk about them. This has been a crazy, crazy month or so.
You can sure say that again. And the tornadoes started before Memorial Day, but they certainly came in much too strong.
Well, Memorial Day is traditionally, the start of summer, and it's when
Mhm.
everybody who can grabs their RV and heads to a campground. But last week's much anticipated summer RV kickoff turned out to be a nightmare in many parts of the country when absolutely savage weather swept through numerous states, producing hailstones, high winds, heavy rains, multiple tornadoes. And as of recording this episode of the podcast, 21 people have lost their lives in various states.
And Kentucky's governor issued a statewide emergency declaration early on Monday. And at least 4 of the deaths happened there, with a tornado touching down and just devastating storms hitting almost all parts of the state.
A tornado also touched down in Texas, becoming the deadliest tornado to hit that state since 2015. But from Texas to Missouri, there were more than 20 tornado reports in that storm that went through Memorial Day weekend. A tornado just devastated the Ray Roberts Marina and RV Park near Sanger, Texas. We saw some TV interviews. The CBS crew talked to survivors afterwards, and it was amazing. No one was seriously hurt in all of that.
And the owner of the park went around honking his horn and warning people to take cover shortly before the storm hit. And one man said he grabbed his dog and took cover with others in the walk-in cooler at the restaurant at the marina. And when he came out, everything around them had been destroyed.
He said 2 minutes, it was gone. It was amazing.
And another man at the same park rode out the storm in his camper. He said the tornado picked up his RV, spun it around, slammed it into another camper, causing it to explode. And he has no idea how he survived.
He said he heard the horn honking. And boy, the owner of this park just did a great job getting everybody out. He said he heard the horn honking, didn't do much, and then he really heard this bad weather coming, and he decided, uh-oh. So he said he dove back into his bedroom and just held onto the mattress. And it's amazing. His unit was just almost completely destroyed, and he didn't have a scratch on him. That wasn't the only campground. A KOA, the Will Rogers Downs KOA near Claremore in Oklahoma rather, was just devastated by the storm. At least 4 people had to be evacuated from their campers. They were kind of trapped in there. And a storm chaser came on the scene right afterwards. And he said that it was just amazing that the RVs were torn up. They were on their sides. They were tossed around. 140 of those campsites were full, and about 200 people took shelter at the campground storm shelter. And their description was terrifying. They said people were crying and praying and sitting in stunned silence as the noise of this tornado struck. And when they opened the door, RVs were shredded, tipped over, some sent flying literally a football field away. And we'll link to a lot of these stories on here. I want to point out a couple things. In our RV lifestyle community, RVers have been watching these storms, and some lived through them, and we're posting photos there and in our RV Lifestyle Facebook group. In the RV Lifestyle community at community.rvlifestyle.com, we have a special discussion space set up there just for RV weather. And it's been very active, as you can imagine, and you can find the latest watches and warnings. And what I really like about it is reports from RVers who are actually in those areas telling you what it's like and where to go. But the photos we've seen, the devastation is absolutely horrible.
And it also leads to questions like one from Christy asking, at what wind speed do you not stay in your RV? Or one from Jacqueline asking, when the weather apps say to go to your safe place and you are dry camping at a closed Cracker Barrel, what do you do?
Well, you get in your car and you get out of there. That's why it's so important that you are monitoring what is happening with the weather. Almost all the fatalities are people who didn't get out of something in time. Sometimes there's a tree limb that falls on a car or on an RV or on a house or whatever, but normally it's people who didn't get out in time. So the only way to be sure to get out in time is if you are really paying attention to those weather forecasts. We thought it would be helpful in the podcast to talk about tornado safety. I've never seen so many. I mean,
No, so many tornadoes. It's incredible.
it's night after night after night we keep hearing about them. So what do you do, and what not do? What should you not do to stay safe? We've never had to go through a tornado. I did go through the equivalent wind speed of a tornado in an RV right after I bought an RV when we first started off, way back in 2012, 2013. I was coming up I-75, and the storm was approaching from the west. It was dark. It was clear something was going to go. You could hear it. And I tuned on the radio, and I heard this tornado warning, high winds coming through. So I pulled off because I didn't want to be on I-75 when the storms came through. And it's a good thing I wasn't, because when they did come through, they tipped over semis. But I pulled into a Pilot gas station, and the way it happened is I ended up getting boxed in at the gas tank. I couldn't go forward or back by other people who pulled off. And while I was there, the winds came through, and they literally tore off the roof of the gas station and pounded against my RV. But the roof was just like it was a little tin roof, so it didn't do any real damage. But that little seconds of those amazing winds that came through, they were straight line winds, not a tornado, made me forever realize how vulnerable we are in an RV. So we put together some tips, and we also will link in the show notes to some stories that we've done on tornado safety. But let's start with a few of them.
Well, number one, take tornado warnings seriously.
Know the difference between, a tornado watch, which means that conditions are ripe for a tornado to form, and a tornado warning, which means take cover immediately because there has been a confirmed tornado, either spotted on the spotters or down on the ground. The second tip is to stay calm, because it's so easy to panic.
Oh, yeah. And know where you need to go to seek shelter before a storm hits. Now, most campgrounds have a shelter. Might be cement block bathhouse, restaurant, or even in states like Oklahoma, a tornado shelter.
So always, when you're going to stay someplace, ask yourself, where do we go in the event of a tornado or, some kind of a disaster? Where do you go? In the case of the person who posted in one of our community groups, they were at a Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel's closed. What do? You got to get out of. Don't be in the RV, because the RV. What happens, and why you see RVs and trailer parks always happen,
And cars.
is because the wind can come right around underneath them, and so they're easier to pick up when it's these high speed winds. They just pick them up and flip them over, or worse, sometimes, as you heard in some of those campgrounds over the weekend, it takes them, 100 yards away. So get out of the RV. And similarly, it's not good to get in the RV. If you're going on a highway, a lot of people say, well, let's go underneath an overpass. Don't do that, because it creates, that open part of the overpass creates this vacuum, and it literally will suck everything out from underneath there. So be very careful about knowing where you are, monitoring what's happening, staying calm, and knowing where there's a shelter. So that's important.
I was really impressed that earlier story about the guy who put the mattress on top of him. That was smart thinking.
Yeah.
The person that his rig exploded.
Yeah. Put just a mattress is, we talk to people who've gone through hurricanes that we've covered as journalists. And they all laid in their bathtub in their house with a mattress on top.
Mm-hmm.
Other people have laid on the bathtub and they put like a heavy door on top, take a door off and put it on top. You want to get to the lowest part of wherever you can get. and that could be a ditch, a drainage ditch. You know, if you're on the freeway and you can't get off, you forget about your RV, forget about your vehicle, get out of the vehicle and get in a ditch. There's almost always a low-lying area that you can get in and cover your head and do a lot of praying there. But abandon your RV. Do not try and ride out a tornado in your RV. They're not made for this. They're very vulnerable for it.
And if you aren't in a campground, seek a safe spot. Maybe a police station, fire station, or hospital. You know, they'll usually let you use a shelter with them. And if there really is no building anywhere, seek the lowest spot in the ground. Like Mike said, a ditch, etc. Most deaths and injuries from tornadoes are caused by flying debris. So your goal is to put a thick barrier between you and debris, whether it's the ground, concrete walls, or a large boulder.
Yeah, just understand that in a house, you know, you might want to get underneath a door frame, get in the basement if you can, the lowest level of it. But know what the weather forecast is. Don't be caught unaware of these things.
And stay away from glass,
Yeah.
the windows.
You know, and also don't rely on your cell phone. I mean, it's nice to have a cell phone, but sometimes that goes away. Sometimes the cell phone ends up, losing a signal. The tower goes down. What do you do then? Good old-fashioned radio usually works. Listen to the radio. Everybody should have a NOAA weather alert radio, and we've put them on our Amazon page, our Amazon influencer page. There, the ones that we use. We have a crank up one, but that old style technology is still the most reliable. You'll get your alerts on your cell phone, and that's great, but sometimes cell phone coverage goes. You want to have backup communications to be able to listen to what the weather forecast is. I think we're still going to see some more bad weather between now and the heat of summer. This is a year unlike any place else. I read a weather guy say this today. He said that there's been this dome of hot, moist air that has been settled over the heartland of our country, and that's the source for much of this stuff. As the tornadoes went through on Memorial Day in the Southwest, a huge heat wave is now built up. They're talking some parts of Texas 120 degrees.
Oh, wow.
They don't usually see those temperatures until midsummer. So the weather is far from normal this year, and we've sure seen our share of tornadoes. Hearts go out to all those folks. So glad that nobody in those RVs were seriously hurt, and stuff can be replaced. Hope this helped. Pay attention to the weather. That's our number one tip, and know where to go. We could repeat them all, but you've heard them now, so take note. All of them are in the show notes for this episode, which you find at rvlifestyle.com. All right, when we come back, we are going to talk about the RV news of the week. Stay with us.
Jennifer and I bought some land near Nashville, Tennessee a while back. We got tired of crowded, expensive campgrounds and worrying about reservations. Tennessee is a gorgeous state with friendly people, and it has been such a pleasure. The same developer has some new property near us close to the Natchez Trace and Buffalo River called The Reserve at High Forest. Big properties, 5 to 41 acres. You can build a house, a cabin, or RV year-round. Prices start at only $89,900. Your property, your way, 100% ownership. The scenery in this part of Tennessee is breathtaking, and the property is gorgeous. Garden, landscape, bring your pets, build what you want. There's high-speed fiber optic internet, and it is so private. A great place to make your home base, ready whenever you want it. 5 to 41 acre properties from $89,900. There's even great financing. Check out the site and a video tour at rvlands.net. That's rvlands.net.
Welcome back. Time now for the RV news of the week.
Now, a Massachusetts man is lucky to be alive after he was violently attacked by a grizzly bear who was protecting her cub at Signal Mountain in Grand Tetons National Park. You wouldn't believe this story. The man, Shane Patrick, wrote it all on his Instagram account, complete with bloody and gory pictures of the aftermath. Patrick was walking a trail alone, hoping to photograph the great gray owl as his wife waited in the parking lot. It sounds like he did everything right. He made a lot of noise walking, sang, and talked to himself. But as he says, he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He saw a baby bear running by, and then its mother came out of nowhere, made a beeline to him, and attacked. He was bloodied up pretty severely, and the disabled Army Reserve veteran said the attack was the most violent thing he's ever experienced. He's experienced being shot at, mortared, and IED explosions. Patrick clutched the bear spray the whole time of the attack, but was never able to spray it. But when the mother bear bit into the can and it exploded in her mouth, she fled. Patrick credits the bear spray and reading and preparing ahead of time about what to do in case of a bear attack with saving his life. It's a good idea to brush up on safety anytime you're in bear country.
We'll have a link to a story that we've done before on it at rvlifestyle.com. Look for the show notes.
You know, what he said in that story about putting his hands around his neck.
Yeah, he was protecting his carotid.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, he got down face first and put his hands like this.
And had the bear...
The damage that this bear did was amazing. I mean,
he's lucky
it's pretty
to be
gory.
alive.
But a smart guy, he's not bitter. He says he loves bears, and he says and they're not going to put that bear down. They're not going to go out and hunt it. It was protecting it. Thought it's baby, but carry bear spray.
And I think each person should have a can of bear spray.
This guy, I mean, he was amazing because you said he documented this all on Instagram. He after the bear ran away, he made his way. His legs were really bitten badly. He made his way, and then he had to put temporary tourniquets on him. That's what he took pictures of. He texted his wife and said, attacked, and then she called, and he is lying there. He can't walk now. He's bleeding so bad. And he gets a hold of 911, and a helicopter's being dispatched, and it couldn't find him. It took, I guess, hours to find him. And he kept worrying that the bear was going to come back.
I would do.
And yet he has this awesome attitude about it all. And you look at the damage that this bear did to him, and oh my goodness, scary stuff.
Well, I always used to think if just the two of us, one can of bear spray was enough. But now I'm thinking if you're in bear country, you better have two.
Everybody in the hiking party should have bear spray. Hey, a while ago we told you about a self-propelling travel trailer called the Light Ship. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
A really cool looking thing. Well, it's there's a big story about it. This thing could self-propel itself for about 300 miles. It has tons of solar, and it was created by some people who used to work for Tesla. Well, the company Lightship has now announced that it's in a 32,000 plus square foot facility in Colorado, and they're planning full production late this year. And they said that after they raised $34 million in investment earlier this year, a good chunk of that money coming from Thor Industries. And Thor makes, their Jayco, Airstream, Keystone, Tiffin, Dutchman, and many more RV brands. This 27-foot Lightstream L1 travel trailer, 3 times more aerodynamic than traditional travel trailers. And much of that, it's really cool. The roof slides down into this very compact space, much like a pop-up trailer. It has no slide outs, lots of windows, and solar. Solar's even on the awning on this thing. And we find it very interesting that Thor Industries is investing in it. Check it out. We'll watch it again, but it's a very cool. I'm sure we're going to put some video over our news story here that you'll find on the RV channel, RV Lifestyle channel on YouTube. Those of you listening in audio, go back and look at that if you haven't seen this Lightship. It's pretty cool.
Now, a woman, she nearly died while camping from carbon monoxide poisoning, and the propane refrigerator is blamed for that.
So it makes you wonder when was the last time you checked your RV's carbon dioxide alarm?
Yeah, you got to do that, don't you? You forget about it.
So this woman was camping alone in Pennsylvania at the Moshannon State Forest, and she nearly died, you say, this week. What else do we know about this?
Well, she was a 53-year-old woman, normally camped with family, but was alone on this occasion. And she woke up in the middle of the night not feeling well. She left camp, got into her car to drive for help, but then realized she couldn't drive and ended up collapsing. She was found by forestry workers who called 911, and she credits them for saving her life. She did say she's going to keep camping, but from now on we'll always make sure the carbon monoxide detector is working.
Yeah, I bet. We've got some tips on how to make sure your carbon monoxide works, all that, and we'll link to it at rvlifestyle.com. All right, one last story, and I don't know if you saw the story about this, but there were all these reports over the weekend that a National Park Service superintendent had somehow ordered some construction workers near the park, near Denali National Park, to remove the American flags that they, all construction units have American flags and everything. Well, it turns out this was a fake story. And, the NPS is a government agency that loves the American flag. They're flying all over national parks. And here's the statement that they released. I think it's important. They said that reports that an NPS official ordered the removal of American flag from a Denali Bridge construction worker's vehicle at Denali National Park are false. Quote, at no time did an NPS official seek to ban the American flag from the project site or associated vehicles. The NPS doesn't administer the bridge project contract, so they said they don't even, if they did it, they didn't have the authority to enforce any of those policies. And then I thought this was telling. They said the American flag can be seen at various locations within Denali National Park, at park facilities, campsites, on public and private vehicles, and at employee residences. And this was from this park superintendent who reiterated that he welcomes the flag's display this Memorial Day weekend and every day. But this fake news story, it was first circulated by a kind of a right-wing conservative website, and then Alaska Senator Dan Sullivan got on top of it, took it as fact, and as a result, this group of patriotic Alaskans were going to meet at a Walmart in Fairbanks, 2 hours away, and drive to Denali, waving flags from their trucks. They were going to have a big protest. Fortunately, that kind of fizzled out when the original story, this was debunked. So for the record, please note American flags are welcome at Denali and its environs, and don't believe everything you read or hear from politicians. All right, that's our news for the week. When we come back, the RV question of the week and story time with Mike and Jen. Stay with us.
When we're asked what's the most important modification we made to our RV, it's an easy answer. Battle-Born batteries. Battle-Born batteries are quality, safe, reliable lithium batteries that allow us to stay out there off the grid longer. Lithium batteries charge faster, they charge fuller, they're longer lasting, they're maintenance free, and Battle-Born batteries are protected by a 10-year guarantee. Now in our case, they just dropped into the existing AGM batteries that we have, and they'll probably be the same on your rig too. Battle-Born battery experts can get those in your rig just like they did with ours. They can also match you up with the right cabling, the inverter, the charger, the solar controller, everything. Jennifer and I swear by our Battle-Born batteries. They allow us to boondock off the grid. Check them out. Go to rvlifestyle.com/lithium. rvlifestyle.com/lithium.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Time now for the RV question of the week, and we want to remind you can send your questions to us at Mike and Jen at rvlifestyle.com.
Okay, here's question number 1. This is my issue. I am an international airline pilot with 5 years till retirement. I can camp nearly anywhere in the USA, Canada, and Mexico, and then commute to work to JFK Airport to fly my trips and then return to the city where my rig is parked. The big question is, that if I fly for 1 week straight and leave my rig, let's say in Rapid City, where can I keep it safely while I'm gone? Thanks, and keep up the good work. And this is from Steve.
And Steve has had RVs in the past. He's thinking about getting a Class A, and that's why he's asking that question. Well, the easiest solution is, if you're going to be gone for just a few days or maybe a week at the longest, is just rent a space in a campground, right?
Right.
But depending on where you are, that could easily be, and it says Rapid City, for example, near the, the Black Hills there, and Mount Rushmore. Those campgrounds are pretty expensive, and that could easily be several $100. So our first suggestion, and what we do when we have to leave our RV someplace, is use a peer-to-peer site called neighbor.com. And it kind of works with people who have some extra room at their property, maybe in their backyards, on their back 40, in their front lawn, in their garage, but room for storage. And they store all sorts of things, including RVs. We have been using one in Florida. When we go down, we'll leave our RV in Florida for a couple of weeks when we're at our condo there, checking up on our condo. And we have really thought that neighbor.com is one of the better services we've seen. They prefer monthly, but sometimes we've only left ours for a week or two. And many of the renters are open to shorter stays. When you go to the site, neighbor.com, you can communicate directly with the owner, and you can see what you can work out. But that would be the first thing we'd recommend. We think their rates are the best. Usually about $70-$80 a month, so you can prorate it. And that's often what a good RV park charges these days per night. So that's why neighbor.com is a pretty good deal. There's also commercial storage businesses, and they might be your next best bet. If you just Google RV storage near me or whatever city you're going to be in, you'll find lots of them. There were also sites like uhaul.com, which often has room in their facilities to store an RV. Sparefoot.com, extraspace-storage.com. You'll find all sorts of stuff. And it's fairly affordable outdoor stuff, but much more expensive than they run about $50 to $75 a month, or sometimes more. Again, the more rural the area, the less it usually costs to store. And then if you really have an RV you want to watch carefully, indoor coverage is probably the most beneficial for that. It's also the most expensive. Indoors storage runs, and they may have air conditioning, webcams, electricity, but those can cost as much as $500 a month some places. So anyway, all of it varies on location. Storage in LA is going to be a lot more costly than Des Moines. So the more expensive the cost of living in a given city, and the more popular it is with tourists, the more storage rent's going to be. But those are your options. Try neighbor.com. That's just, for us, it's worked out really well. We've been very happy with that.
We have.
All right. You got a question you'd like us to answer? Mike and Jen at rvlifestyle.com. Story time. Mike and Jen's story time. What are we going to talk about this week?
Today, we're going to talk about the Great South Dakota Bug Blizzard.
You ever been in a bug blizzard? Well, it's early June, and that's about right now. A lot of people are planning to make their big trip out west to parks like Yellowstone or Glacier. And for a lot of RVers, that means you travel I-90. Well, the first time we traveled I-90 was in early June, and we like I-90. It's fun. There's a lot to see and do along, but right about dark, we were watching and noticing what a gorgeous sunset it was, right?
It was absolutely beautiful. And then all of a sudden, we were in the wide open spaces of prairie grass west of Sioux Falls and east of Mitchell, South Dakota, and the bugs hatched.
The bugs hatched. It seems that's when they do it, is at sunset. Now, I don't know what kind of bugs they were, but because they were big and they were splattered, but they looked a little bit like what we would call June bugs back in Michigan, kind of like a little beetle. They were about a beetle size, and right at sunset they come out. And that first time, we didn't know what to do. First, it was one.
And I'm used to whiteouts with snow.
Yep.
So I looked at you and I said, "This is a bug out."
This was a bug out, because then it was a couple, and then it was like boom, bam, splat, splat.
Nobody could see.
And you couldn't see. Their slimy stuff was all over the windshield. The sun was gone. There was a big orange glow on the western horizon, and it was like a blizzard, a bug blizzard. Your bug out. The windshield was just smeared with them.
And the wipers didn't help yet. We had to pull over in a gas station. All the truckers, everybody out there driving was in there cleaning their windows.
And they were hitting, the whole RV. I mean, we were driving, at 75 miles an hour. That's a speed limit on I-90. We're driving, and it's just, they're hitting like crazy. It sounded like a hailstorm.
Yeah, it did.
And it went on for a couple hours. We did a short little video clip. And we were in a road trek, a Class B RV at the time. And here's just a short what that sounded like. I've driven this road trek in all sorts of conditions, and snowstorms and thunderstorms and windstorms and whiteouts, but never like it is here on I-90 in South Dakota. It's not a whiteout, it's a bug out. I don't know what these bugs are that are hitting this vehicle, but they sound like hail or rain. There are so many of them, and they have so covered up the windshield that it's difficult to see. A bug out in South Dakota. We better find a gas station and clean that windshield. Well, we continued on, and by the time we reached Mitchell, it was full on dark, and the bug storm ended as quickly as it began. So we pull over for gas, and remember, we weren't the only ones.
Oh, everybody, 18-wheelers, everybody was over there trying to wash off all those bug corpses.
And I looked at the guy next to me, and he was in an 18-wheeler, and he kind of just looked and shook his head, and he said, "Something hatched." And we tried to clean it off, but even with the little squeegee thing, it didn't work. So
Thank goodness for car washes.
we always would boondock on I-90 in the Cabela's lot, which is there in Mitchell, South Dakota. And right across the street from there was a car wash. So we went through $10 in quarters rinsing those bugs off. And that's really the only way to get them off is with that high pressure water. And as it happened, the next year we were back on I-90 again, also in June.
Mm-hmm. The same thing happened. Dark came and several thousand of those nightly hatched splattered all over our RV again.
Well, we still travel that route. We love I-90, like we said, and those wide open views. It's the first real feeling that you're in the West when you hit that stretch from basically Sioux Falls to Mitchell. We just now make sure that if we're between Sioux Falls or Sioux City and Mitchell, that we are off the road, off I-90 by sunset. Otherwise, and we also use Rain-X. Rain-X really does help do a little bit of getting rid of them, with Rain-X in the windshield wash fluid. It'll help a little bit, but you still got to go to a car wash. So if it happens to you, it took us 2 years to learn. Don't be out there in June after dark. That's when you're going to run into the great bug blizzard or the bug out. All right, that's Mike and Jen's story time for this week. And be safe out there. Crazy weather's still coming. You can reach us, Mike and Jen, at rvlifestyle.com. And don't forget, Saturday we got a big video on our Arizona trip that we just came back from, and I think you'll enjoy that. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Happy trails.